The most dangerous place for an American distance runner isn't the final 200 meters of a fast, tactical race. It's the parking lot of a grocery store 3 years after college graduation. It's that moment when you're staring at a $4 gas station coffee, realizing your bank account is in the double digits, and you just finished a 100-mile week nobody asked you to run. You are arguably one of the 20 fastest people in the country, a literal human Ferrari, yet you are living a life that most people would call poverty. This is the psychological haunting of the American distance runner. In America, they have the best tracks, the best coaches, and the most storied collegiate system on earth. Yet, they are systematically suffocating the very athletes who are supposed to be their next Olympic legends. Today, I'm going to tell you why the Olympic dream in America is being dismantled piece by piece, and why the biggest obstacle to a gold medal isn't your VO2 max, it's a bureaucracy that treats athletes like line items on a spreadsheet. To understand how America is killing the dream, we first have to look at the machine that built it. The NCAA is the undisputed heavyweight champion of talent development. To explain how effective and potent this pipeline is, consider this. 23 out of 24 American distance global medalists since 2012 were at one point in the NCAA, totaling 38 medals altogether. This pipeline is the envy of the world. Every country in the world uses it. It attaches elite development to the post-secondary system, essentially using tuition dollars and football revenue to fund the training of future world-class runners. But as I discussed in 3 of my videos found here, that pipeline is being hollowed out via the oversaturation of international talent, new rules limiting roster spots, and the new financial structure of the athletics department within the NCAA schools. These trends and new rules are creating a hole where no one will fund your existence as an athlete. And the 99% of athletes who have a chance at making the Olympics are falling through the cracks before they even get their degrees. The reality that nobody wants to admit is that the #1 cause of potential Olympic athletes giving up on their hopes is access to money. If you have the money, America is the best place in the world to be a runner. They have the most plentiful intellectual and physical infrastructure on the planet. Everywhere you go, there's a world-class track. Go to any random Division II school in the Midwest, and you'll likely find a track stadium that would be the crown jewel of a national federation in another country. And accompanying that track is most likely a professional caliber coach nearby. Other countries simply do not have those, at least not at the extent as America has. But facilities don't pay rent. I've been to charitable events where track clubs fundraise for their amateur athletes through pizza parties at bowling alleys. Runners who are literally ranked among the best in the country just to help them continue their dream. They raise a few $1,000s, call it a success, and go on their way to a lifestyle where they're one injury away from retirement. I see GoFundMes constantly posted by athletes trying to pay their coaches or cover their rent. And when you see these GoFundMes, or when you're attending these fundraisers, you might as well put an 8-month timer on that athlete, because that's when they exhaust their funds and retire. People think you retire from track and field because you get old. The reason really is that there's no more support for athletes, and surviving on a year-to-year basis becomes extremely difficult. In your early 20s, living in a runner house with 5 other guys, sleeping on a mattress on the floor, and piling into jam-packed vans for cross-state meets is viewed as the grind. People in your orbit will cheer you on. You're grinding hard, kid. This is where greatness is born. But fast forward 3 to 5 years later, you're 27, you're still living in that same house, still driving that same beat-up car, and your friends from college are now getting on, making money, buying their own house. The narrative shifts from future Olympian to you haven't made it, kid, and you've wasted your life away chasing this silly dream of yours. Go be an adult and make some money. People in your orbit will do this to you. It's happened to me. I know the pressure to retire is backbreaking. Even when you look at yourself in the mirror, you'll think the same. What am I doing with my life? And if you haven't made it in your early to mid-20s, even if you're still competitive, the little money in our sport evaporates. You'll see national champions get nationally carded one year, only to get injured the next year and get their financial support system taken away from them. To get back where they were will be a grind measured in months and years, and they will have to do it with less resources than they originally had at the start. Hey guys, really quick, if you're enjoying this video, please like and subscribe down below. Back to the video. As much as the national and international bodies help athletes, they're bloated bureaucracies. The decisions they make are to justify their own existence and to get themselves more resources. And the way they do that is through control. There is no way to the Olympics or World Championships except through them. The same people who select you to World Championships and the Olympics are the same people that pay you if they deem you worthy. And they want money just as bad as the athlete does, because they control access to the only place where every athlete wants to go, so they can make draconian financial deals that have debilitating consequences for athletes. This creates something I call the sponsorship paradox, where 1. USA Track and Field, or insert any other national federation in here too, signs an exclusive multi-million deal with Nike or another company. 2. Part of the deal from Nike says that all athletes must wear Nike products at the Olympics at all times. 3. USA Track and Field uses this money to hire and pay for a full salary staff who then designate worthy athletes to receive an annual stipend of around $12,000 for the highest ranked athletes. 4. You, the up-and-coming athlete, get a $40,000 per year contract offer from another shoe company, taking a risk on you and betting on your potential to make the Olympics. $40,000 is life-changing in amateur sports. 5. In return, your sponsor wants you to wear their logo at the Olympics if you make it. 6. USA Track and Field steps in and says you can't wear your sponsor at the Olympics because of their contract with Nike. 7. The sponsor pulls out because there's no point in sponsoring you because they realize there's no return on investment for the biggest moment of your career. Therefore, you have no income and you're broke. 8. USA Track and Field claims they are needed more than ever to support broke athletes like yourself. So they sign an exclusive multi-million-dollar deal with Nike to help the athletes in need. 9. Then part of the deal from Nike says that all athletes must wear Nike at the Olympics at all times, and so on and so on. The cycle continues. How this plays out in the real world is that companies already know this and they'll never offer the contract in the first place. The USA Track and Field and big corporate sponsorship is a closed circle. It's not even that corporate sponsorships are bad, it's USA Track and Field is selling your soul to get every possible dollar it can. And they will never acknowledge this because it's against their best interest. It reminds me of the quote from Upton St. Clair, "It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it." Now I should mention that elite American athletes can get another $15,000 to $30,000 per year, but that's not through USA Track and Field, that's through the USA Track and Field Foundation, which manages donations given and spearheaded by Stephen A. Schwartzman, the CEO of Blackstone, which gives the illusion that USA Track and Field pays these athletes more, but they don't. To prove how much of an incestuous industry this is, let's look at the numbers. And these numbers are hard to find, and purposely so for a good reason. In 2024, the Canadian Olympic Committee received around $45 million in revenue through corporate sponsorships, donations, and grants, and about $2.6 million made it directly to athletes. That's around 5.8% of revenue making it directly to athletes. Now you might say it's not the Olympic Committee's responsibility to pay these athletes. They're holding the integrity of the sport by spreading Olympic values and programs, etc., etc. But that's exactly the problem. The International Olympic Committee, then the National Olympic Committee, and then the sports-specific National Sports Association divide every possible way to monetize the Olympics through its athletes. The IOC will have global sponsorships seen on every surface at the Olympic Games. The National Association will sell the merchandise rights to companies like Lululemon, and the sports-specific organization will make sure all the athletic wear of the athletes in the sport are wearing the right brand. And all of these rights are made exclusive, meaning if one of these associations don't grant you these rights, you're not allowed to make money off the Olympics. There is literally no more room for monetization. And that's a problem when Olympic athletes make next to nothing. One or multiple of these organizations have to let loose of their strangling contract rights, but they won't because these athletes will compete anyways. So when the Canadian Olympic Committee or any other Olympic committee redistribute 5.8% of their revenues to athletes, just know that the IOC and the sports-specific national federations are on the same level of paltry redistribution, and that they're taking every opportunity to make money and making them the only ones that can do so, as well as making it illegal for you to do so. Every single possible way to monetize these athletes is thought of, separated, and sold. Think of yourself, the athlete, as cattle, because that's what you are. 94% of the money is swallowed by the bureaucracy, staff salaries, travel for officials, and administrative fluff. Meanwhile, top executives in these organizations can earn compensation packages exceeding 6 figures annually. We are told the sport is struggling for cash, which in all fairness it is, yet the people at the top are living like corporate executives while the athletes are struggling to get by. But it's not all bad news. There are some good things happening in the track and field world that will help athletes on their journey to make the Olympics. The NCAA used to forbid athletes from making money revolving around their sport. That's changed with the new NIL, which is name, image, and likeness deals, that athletes are now allowed to take part in. Runners in the NCAA can now make content to sell their expertise, entertainment, or services through their running. Because of this, they can build a business that funds their own existence and training to get as good as they possibly can. The track and field athletes nowadays that make the most money are not typically the fastest ones. They're the ones with the biggest and most dedicated following on social media. Athlete brands like the Athlete Special come to mind. He was able to build a following through college, which he now directly benefits from, though he was slightly before the year of 2021 when these new rules took place. Nico Schultz of Penn State is another more accurate example, directly benefiting from the new rules of monetization. Because these athletes accumulate this following, they end up running a lot longer than they otherwise would have. They are developing without a dime received from a national federation. And another recent landmark case helped athletes in 2026, this year, called the Brantmeyer case, where athletes are now able to keep prize money that they've won. This is a massive contrast to the eras leading up to and including the one I participated in when I was in the NCAA, when athletes couldn't do anything that would tarnish their amateur status. These rules were so strict that if you won $50 from a road race outside of the college circuit, it would disqualify you from being eligible to compete in the NCAA. Because apparently you're no longer an amateur. You're officially a professional athlete with a crisp $50 bill to your name. If you want proof that money is the #1 limiting factor for athletes, let's look at the peak age data for Olympic medalists. One of the oldest running events in the Olympics outside of the marathon is the 100 meter. This is the event that requires the most raw speed, the very thing you are supposed to lose as you age. So why are they one of the oldest? The answer is because the 100 meter is the highest grossing event. What little money is in track and field, 80% of it goes to the 100 meter athletes. They are more willing to push through injuries and setbacks because they have the money to stay alive and access to resources to come back. They can afford physios, the doctors and massage therapists needed to reach their true physiological peak. Distance runners, often lacking that capital, cook themselves and quit before they ever see what they're truly capable of. Even at the absolute peak of American track and field, the financial strain is visible. Over the last 5 years, we have seen world-class, top 8, internationally ranked American athletes complain about the lack of support. Marquise Dandy, a long jumper, a multi-time Olympian and world indoor champion, has been vocal about the poverty of elite track and field and the lack of traditional sponsorship for even those at the top of the world rankings. Gwen Berry, a hammer thrower, has spoken extensively about the financial precariousness of being a professional athlete and the difficulty of finding sponsors who support athletes with a voice. English Gardner, a 100 meter athlete, an Olympic gold medalist who has shared her journey of being unsponsored while training at an elite level, highlighting that even medals don't guarantee financial stability. Elle St. Pierre has balanced professional running with working on her family's dairy farm, a job that is charming for the media but is necessary for a level of stability most athletes lack. And so on and so on. Trying to make the Olympics as an athlete is a war of attrition. It's access to resources that keeps the dream alive. These federations are so powerful and follow economic theory to such a T that in their monopoly, they want to remain a monopoly. They want access to 100% of the money coming in at all times. And this just puts so much pressure on the athletes. So if you're an athlete looking for a chance to make the Olympics or just to become as great as you could possibly be, build your own platform, own your own data, the traditional path is becoming a dead end for anyone without a trust fund. But if you can fund your own existence, the infrastructure in America is still there to help you become a legend. What actually kills American distance runners' Olympic hopes is not the biological clock, but is and always will be a monetary one. Do you have a story about the grind or a moment where the pressure to retire almost broke you? Let me know down in the comments down below. And on that note, I'll see you guys next time.